Hey guys, California Phantom here. I'm about to tell you about the Autel Evo coming at you.
Can you deal with that?
Alright, so first time we saw the Autel Evo was CES. They came to the convention, blew everything out of the water. They had a 360 camera. They had a 20 megapixel 1-inch version. Everybody was hyped, and then nothing. We waited 6, 7, 8 months. Finally, Autel released the Evo. They didn't go with the 1-inch sensor, but I have to say, 60 frames, 4K, 100 megabits. This camera is amazing. All right, so let's first talk about the appearance. So the thing can best be described as a Baywatch lifeguard buoy. I'm not exactly sure what they were thinking. My guess is the round guy at General Motors got a hold of this, because I have to say, contrasting it with, like, say, the Mavic Pro, you have a stealth fighter, you have edges, you have sharpness. They were thinking forward. Had DJI dropped the Mavic Pro in 2018, we would not have thought otherwise. We would have been like amazed with this drone. Here we are, 2018 with the Evo, we get a lifeguard buoy. I'm not sure as far as the technical aspects of why they went with this design. I do like that they did step it up with the forward sensors, the rear sensors. I'm not a sensor guy. I fly enough. I've been flying drones for years. I don't necessarily need that, but I do like, for the casual hobbyist, they have the comfort of knowing that it's there. Where this drone really shines is three things. You have, first and foremost, no geofencing. So I'm not exactly sure where DJI came up with the idea of geofencing and utilizing that software, but if you're a drone enthusiast or a hobbyist, you absolutely hate it. I recently took a trip to Washington. I had a client mission in Seattle, so I was visiting some family in nearby Oak Harbor, Washington. Where he actually lives, where my family lives, they are smushed between two NFZs, but the actual little area, 5 square miles where they're at, completely legal airspace. For whatever reason, DJI has that whole entire area listed as NFZ, and I could not launch my Phantom 4. It was beautiful countryside, beautiful area. I would have loved to have filmed it, but unfortunately, due to the software limitations, I could not, because of this arbitrary geofencing. While I do agree that geofencing should exist, I think it should exist only as a rule book, as a rubric to the end user. So I do think they took design implementations that the DJI did with the Mavic, and they just really improved upon it. Owning the Mavic was very solid. I do remember it being a very solid craft, but I have to say, this does feel a bit heavier and a bit more firm in the hand, a bit more robust. So having said that, then she flies. This thing is incredibly silent. I know there's been many tests. Original Dobo did a meter test on the Mavic, the Platinum, and the regular, comparing it to the Autel Evo. Decibel wise, it's very, very similar, but I have to say, it must be a frequency, that certain frequency that they're hitting. It's far, far more pleasant to the ear with the Evo than it is with the Mavic Pro. Mavic Pro is a little bit more like a beehive. This is more like a low hum, and it's just a lot more pleasing. Performance wise, we have a 4K camera, 60 frames, 100 megabytes, very, very close in quality, if not with firmware and software patches, could possibly exceed the Phantom 4 Pro. I won't level that decision yet. I think the results are kind of inconclusive, but for the $999 price point that this is, it is a drone that simply cannot be beat. So next up is accessories, third-party availability. I have to say, DJI has the market cornered. They're selling at such an outpaced area that we're not really have a whole hell of a lot of options when it comes to third-party accessories. You don't really need a lot of third-party accessories, but a definite must if you're a videographer or photographer is definitely ND filters. The first company to step up to the plate is Freewell. I have to give my hats off to Freewell. Freewell supplied me with an all-day filter set, ND filter set. Any sort of situation I need, I'm going to be able to dramatically improve my video taking and my photography taking skills, and I have to thank Freewell for that. Hats off to them. Next comes software gripes. Now, I have to say, this is an early release with the software. I know we've had one firmware update and it already addressed perhaps the most annoying issue, and that was out of the box, Autel's Evo actually, when charging the controller, ran the fan like it was powered fully up, and I'm not exactly sure why. When you're charging the battery, I can't imagine the controller overheating or needs that much cooling power to keep the remote cool when it's just charging the battery. But nevertheless, when it came out of the box, the fan was, you know, really loud, and trying to charge that overnight while I'm sleeping was, you know, more than an obstacle. So the second issue the Autel has with the Evo is subtle, but it's settings. The way that Autel has it currently configured is they have set a settings bar on the very bottom when your drone is in the standard flight mode, and the very first left-hand bottom section is the 4K 60 frames. I feel like that is a waste of space, because as a videographer, as a photographer, I'm gonna make that initial setting and I'm never gonna touch it again unless there's a firmware, a bad firmware, and that particular setting is corrupted or terrible. I'm never gonna change it. So me personally, I wanna see the ISO, shutter speeds, I wanna see all of the critical editing, photography, camera settings on the bottom first. I don't wanna see anything that I don't need. Number two is the GPS and the map setting. As of right now, with this second firmware release, the map automatically defaults at such a high altitude that it's almost showing the entire United States. So you currently have to, when you set the GPS, if you want to follow your drone like DJI does with their map, you have to manually pinch and zoom in into an appropriate height and then get that height dialed in manually yourself. I'm not exactly sure why the altitude is set up so far back, but they really got to release a firmware to fix that, because it should default, you know, in like maybe a 5 square mile area at most. I'm not sure why it's got the entire United States in it. So that arrives to my final conclusion, you the viewers. I don't know anybody else that's currently offering this, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here. This is my personal collection, my personal expense, but I wanna offer up this drone to you.
Hell yes.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to announce the winner when DJI releases their new drone. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, but most importantly, make sure you're subscribed. If you already are subscribed, you're already entered, so don't unsubscribe and subscribe again. Just if you're entered, you're good. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope this really helped you. I hope you're excited as I am with the Autel Evo. It's only going to get better with firmware. I know they're very aggressive with this. They're good people over there, and I want to definitely give them a good solid run to be able to at least compete with DJI and give them a little bit more level playing field. And that's pretty much it, guys. And you know the drill. Till the next adventure.